right, welcome back. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at Extreme 104 SVG. Before we head into the discussion and introduce today's guest, ECBI's 2 for 22 water special is on right now. Get 2 cases of 1.5 liter water for the low price of $22.70. Available for purchase at the East Caribbean Bottlers Inc. in Camden Park. 2 for 22 in 2022. Only while stocks last. So for more information, you can call them at 457-7050. All right. Good morning, ASP Simmons. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, Crystal. I'm doing fine. Good morning to DJ Lano on the inside, and special good morning to your listening audience in Simmons and Grandins, in the diaspora, and wherever they're listening to Extreme FM. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Pleasure to have you. All right. So you are in charge of the anti-human trafficking department, and you are also head of public relations.
Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
It seems like a very heavy hat to wear, or hats. Is it challenging?
You're correct. You know, there are two very important units within the Royal Simmons and Grandins Police Force, and play a very critical role. One in marketing the police force, public relations, and also dealing with complaints from the general public, complaints that are made against police officers. And the other, the anti-trafficking process units, we are there to investigate all matters relating to human trafficking and others, as we will discuss as we go forward this morning.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to touch on, right? Now, if you want to join the discussion, if you want to have a question concerning human trafficking, that's the first thing we're going to deal with. 457-1043, that's the number to call. 430-1043, that's the WhatsApp number. You can send a voice note, make sure it's clean, or you can send us a message, or even online, you can drop us a comment or question. So we're going to start with human trafficking. First of all, definition. What is human trafficking?
Right. So human trafficking is first of all, it is a crime in St. Vincent and Grenadines and also globally. And it is a crime contrary to Section 5, subsection 1 of the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act. Now, this act was passed in our parliament in 2011, and it criminalizes human trafficking. But the definition of human trafficking, the universal accepted definition, goes like this. It is the recruitment, the transportation, the transfer, the harboring, or receipt of persons by means of the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, of abduction, of fraud, of deception, of the abuse of power or of a position of vulnerability, of the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. Now, that is the technical definition of human trafficking. And this definition was established in 2000 by the United Nations Protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking persons, especially women and children. This was done in Palermo, Italy, and it is otherwise known as the Palermo Protocol. But I want to give you a layman definition now of human trafficking, a simpler definition. Now, human trafficking is a crime where human traffickers profit from the exploitation of other individuals. And these persons, they are lured to places where they can be controlled. Victims are promised a better life and good jobs, but they are often forced into dangerous, barbaric, and abusive situations, and also terrible working conditions. Now, the main purpose or aim of human traffickers is to make money, to exploit other human beings, to become rich from the exploitation. So that is the layman definition of human trafficking.
Okay. Statistically speaking, how serious is human trafficking in SVG since you said 2011?
2011.
Right, the act
Yes.
was passed.
Yes.
If you want to take a look through it, you can just do a quick Google search: prevention
Of trafficking
of
in persons
trafficking,
act.
right, in
Yes.
persons act, and you should be able to find it there in the top 5 results, right? How serious is it in SVG?
Okay. The Royal Simmons Underground Police Force takes every crime seriously,
Mm-hmm.
including human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
From where I sit as the head of the unit, uh, human trafficking exists, but I would say not on a large scale, comparable to other crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it is a crime that that is operates off the radar. So it takes a very keen eye, keen investigations. Also, you have to know how to identify the crime in order to ferret it out.
Mm-hmm.
So far, since 2011, well, the unit which I head, the anti-trafficking forces unit, that was formed in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
We have investigated over 40 potential cases of human trafficking. Notice I said potential.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, we have had one arrest for human trafficking. It involved 3 foreigners as who were the potential victims, and the person who was arrested was of intention.
Mm-hmm.
That matter was taken to court. However, it was later withdrawn due to quote unquote insufficiency of evidence. But we are not deterred by that. We continue to do our best, all that we can, to ensure that we investigate, we prosecute, and convict any human trafficker that is out there.
Are you able to comment on the most recent highlight, the possibility of human trafficking concerning the meal attendant? Are you able to comment on that one, or
Yes. Well, Crystal,
what can you
you'd
say?
appreciate that this matter is still on investigations.
Right, right, right.
So I am not, I would not be able to go too deep into it, but I'll comment as far as possible as I can. Now, on February 12th, the, the police detained a Vincentian, a male attendant who works at the Milton Clayton Memorial Hospital. He was in the Northwestern Policing District, allegedly soliciting young ladies to work as babysitters and housekeepers, nannies in the Grenadines. That matter was reported to the police. The police responded to the report. Mr. Richardson was detained by the police for questioning and investigations. Now, I want to say that it is not the first time that we have had an encounter with Mr. Richardson. We have had previous encounters with him, but those matters are sub judice. I must say that he was released from police custody pending further investigations, and because we are at a certain stage at this time, I cannot delve deeper into that specifically.
Right.
But I can speak around it because we read the comments from persons on social media.
Right.
As a matter of fact, since that press release was issued on February 12th, my unit, my office, we have received numerous calls. We have received numerous emails from females, even calls from overseas, where persons, they're telling us about their encounter, previous encounters
Wow.
with an individual with similar, similar modus operandi. So we are very, very grateful for that information that we are getting now, and because that would help us in our investigations as we move forward with
Right.
this matter.
Okay. So it's good that people are coming forward. What are some of the things that we should look out for? How can the ordinary person identify
Yeah,
or, raise a little alarm in their heads concerning human trafficking?
right. So human trafficking, in order for you to really get a grip on it, you have to be able to know the indicators.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the indicators. There are several things that you have to look for. For example, Crystal and DJ Lano, you may have a friend. Let's say her name is Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, is a very happy person, bubbly and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Outgoing, friendly, kind, and every time you see her, she always have a smile on her face,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. But all of a sudden, she started appearing, fearful, unhappy. You may see some unexplained bruises and cuts and so forth on her body.
Mm-hmm.
That is a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
That is a red flag. Also, Mary may stop going out, and whenever we see her going out, she is being accompanied, let's say, by one person or two persons.
Mm-hmm.
That also is another red flag. Another indicator of human trafficking is that the victims, they may not be in control of their travel documents, their passport, their ID cards, driver's license, airplane tickets if they are foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the victim, while they're working, they may or may not receive a salary, or if they have been paid, they are paid very little. They have been exploited for their labor, while the human trafficker is making millions or thousands. There would also be signs of mental stress. The victim can appear very disoriented, disheveled, even malnourished, because the human trafficker, their main aim is just to make a profit. So they do not care whether or not their victims eat, sleep, drink. If they're sick, they don't bother to ensure that they see a doctor. Their main aim is just to exploit them. So those are just some of the indicators that you can look for, that can point you in the direction that maybe this person is a victim of trafficking, or maybe human trafficking is taking place in this area.
So the department not only deals with Vincentians who might be possibly human trafficked out of SVG, but you also deal with cases of persons who might be trafficked into the country.
Correct. Yes.
Have you have any? Well, of the 40 plus, have you had any cases with that? Persons who came in who you suspect to be trafficked into the country.
Yes, we have had that. As I said, the first case that we made the arrest for, those were foreigners. Those were
Right.
foreigners who were brought in, and
Oh,
subsequent
so
to
that
that, we have also investigated cases where other foreigners were brought in here as well. But I must say at this stage that all of these cases were investigated properly by the police, and the information was forwarded to the DPP's office for advice, because they are the ones who would advise us as to whether to lay a charge
Right.
or not. Hence the reason why I am saying potential, because those cases did not reach the evidential threshold in order for a charge to be proffered against the suspects, in those matters. So that's why I'm using the word potential. cases. But I want to say here that, and I'm happy that you asked the question, because there are some myths about human trafficking. Some people believe that human trafficking only takes place overseas, that the victim is trafficked, let's say, to America or to Africa. But human trafficking is also local as well. It is both local and transnational. So I can traffic someone from right here in Fountain, Villa Fountain, to Chateaubriand or to Beckway.
Really?
That is called local or internal trafficking. But it is also transnational, meaning that I can traffic someone from St. Vincent to Grenada, to Barbados, and to North America, Europe, Africa.
That's rather interesting. The local trafficking there. Is it harder to identify those cases? Or it's the same
Well,
as.
well, the elements are the same. The elements and the indicators are the same. You just have to really be, assertive. Have a keen eye. And another important factor is information. Information. Persons who may be aware that human trafficking is probably taking place in this locale. They need to inform the police immediately. Call the police,
So you can. Right.
71211, and call the trafficking persons unit at 4561750. We are located at the Kittens police station. You can drop in there as well and share the information, or you can also email us, SVG anti-trafficking unit at gmail.com. So information sharing is very critical in this matter, because another myth again, trafficking victims, they hardly self-identify. They hardly do that because of fear, from fear of reprisal from the human traffickers. So they would be going through a lot of trauma, exploitation, but they would be fearful to tell someone. So that's why it's important for us to be able to look at someone and say that something's wrong. And that's why we always say that if you see something or know something, say something.
Say something. All right. If you're just joining us, we have in studio ASP Simmons. He's the head of the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Department within the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. And we're talking about how serious an issue human trafficking is in SVG. My next question has to do with law, right?
Yes.
So we have an entire act that deals with human trafficking.
That's right.
What is the maximum fine? Or what are some of the things that people could be charged for with regards to human trafficking?
All right. Great question. Now, as I said earlier, the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act was passed in Parliament in 2011. Prior to that, human trafficking was not a crime in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And thank God that law was passed, so it is now a crime.
Okay.
Human trafficking is a very, very serious crime. Therefore, it warrants a serious penalty.
Okay.
Now, according to Section 5, subsection 1 of this Act, this is the offense of trafficking persons. It says, a person who engages in, you engage in it, you do it, conspires to engage in, attempts to engage in, assists another person to engage in, or organizes or directs another person to engage in trafficking persons, commits an offense and is liable on conviction, on indictment, to a fine of $250,000 or to imprisonment for 15 years, or both. So,
or both.
Right, yeah. So if you're convicted for human trafficking, you can be fined up to $250,000 or 15 years in prison, or you can be fined and confined. Now, that is not the only penalty.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you there are some other offenses which I'll get into in a while. Now, there's the offense of transporting a person for the purpose of exploiting, so the person's prostitution, right? That offense says that anyone who knowingly transports or conspires to transport attempts to transport or assist another person engaged in transporting any person in Simmons in the Grenadines or across an international border for the purposes of exploiting that person's prostitution commits an offense and is liable on conviction on indictment to a fine of 100,000 dollars or imprisonment for 12 years or both. Now,
That's just for driving
yeah, transporting the person, right?
or, a boat. Wow.
Yeah, transporting. It could be whether in a vehicle, well, let's say land, sea, and air,
Okay.
because it also mentioned across an international border.
Right, right, right.
So it means that you would have left in Western Grenadines.
Right.
Right. So in addition to the 12 years or the 15 years, you can also be so an additional term of imprisonment of 15 years. 15 years. Right. So in essence, you can 15 plus 15 is 30
30.
plus 12 that's 42.
Wow.
So you can actually serve up to 42 years for once you're convicted for the offense of trafficking in person.
And that might be the rest of your life for some people.
Correct. Because we have to send a message to human traffickers and criminals in general
Yeah.
that we as a law enforcement organization, the primary law enforcement organization in Grenadines, actually the PF, we do not condone crimes, we do not condone lawlessness. We are here to protect and serve the people of Simmons and the Grenadines, and that's our mission. That's what we do every day, and we do not leave any stone unturned when it comes to carrying out our mission.
Okay. Lovely, lovely.
There's some other offenses in the act, so I don't know if you want me to go through them.
I think it might it might be a bit lengthy, and I wanted to take the break now
Right.
and come right back. Right. Before we take the break, some of the quick things that people should look out for to prevent, or if a trafficker sees you as a target,
Yeah.
some of the things that you should look out for. What are they?
Now, first and foremost, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The human traffickers, they are very slick. They would come to you with golden promises of lucrative jobs where your salaries would reach the sky. Be aware of that. They would come and tell you that you're beautiful. I have a modeling agency. I can make you a star, a modeling star. Be aware of these sheep in wolf clothing. Also, believe it or not, Crystal, persons fall victim to human trafficking out of love, but fake love, because someone can approach you, whether male or female, and tell you that they love you, and you have feelings for that person, and you fall in love, or so you may think, and the person probably can be a foreigner or even a local person, but next thing you know, that person forces you into prostitution or into forced labor situations, or even sell one of your organs. So you have to be very, very assertive as to who you befriend, because not every green teeth is a laugh or a smile, a genuine smile. You have to be able to decipher good from evil.
And part of that deciphering is reaching out to the people who know about these things, like the police.
Exactly.
And it has to be like second nature as well. Okay, this is a little fishy. Hello, officer. Somebody you probably trust. within the force, or you go straight to the relevant department, which is the
Trafficking
anti-trafficking in humans
in
department,
persons unit.
in persons unit. Right. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
All right. And you get as much information as you possibly need. All right. So we're going to wrap up on the human trafficking part. When we come back, you are the head of the public relations department.
Right.
So we'll touch on that one.
Certainly.
All right.
Certainly,
So when we
yes.
come back right here on the wake up call, thank you for joining the live. All right. So you can come back for the second part. Okay.